Joining us now is someone who's made a name for himself, standing up for principles over fame and gain. Enes Kanter Freedom, former NBA star and leading activist for human rights around the world. Enes, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you again. Now, a lot of focus on the two Chinese Americans at the Winter Olympics and the different paths they've taken, one representing communist China, the other America, despite China trying to recruit her. Now, you've also weighed in on this. Why do you think this contrast is getting so much traction?
Well, thank you for having me first. And second, this story resonates because it is bigger than sports. It is about values, about identity, what freedom means in a world where authoritarian regimes are trying to expand influence. And, you have one athlete representing the United States, a country built on liberty, freedom, and individual rights, and another competing for a government that tightly controls speech, media, and dissent, and literally tortures his own people. So people are not debating talent, they are debating principles. And in a time of rising global tension, these choices feel symbolic. So they force a broader conversation about whether success should be measured purely in medals and money, or also in the values we represent on a world stage.
And what does this tell us about the Chinese regime's MO?
The Chinese government understands the power of the symbolism. It uses celebrities, sports, and global events to project an image of legitimacy and strength. Recruiting internationally recognized athletes, it's not just about competition, it is about soft power. So, and propaganda value and shaping global perception. Financial incentives and market access are powerful tools in that strategy. So this does not diminish the athletes' hard work, but it reveals how the regime blends prestige, economics, and national messaging and advances influence. So it is a strategic playbook designed to win and admiration abroad while suppressing dissent at home.
And as in many ways, the story of these two Winter Olympians mirrors your own personal story. You famously spoke up against the Chinese regime's persecution of Uyghur Muslims at great risk to your professional career. Talk to us about what that cost you professionally and why you chose to do it anyway.
Speaking out came with real consequences, especially when I wanted to speak up about all the China's human rights violations. I lost endorsement deals, business ties disappeared. I played basketball in NBA for 11 years, and I was healthy. I could have competed another 5-6 years, and unfortunately, because of the relationship between NBA and China, they said enough is enough, and unfortunately, they blackballed me. And broadcast opportunities shrank, and I faced threats, and everybody knows about this. I was doing a hearing in the Congress with Foreign Affairs, and I asked one simple question. I was like, how can the biggest dictatorship in the world, China, can control a 100% made American organization like the NBA and fire a U.S. citizen? And unfortunately, they did not answer. They couldn't answer. When you learn about forced labor, mass detention, organ harvesting, religious persecution, you cannot claim ignorance. Freedom is not meaningful if you only defend it when it's convenient. I chose to speak up because human dignity matters more than contracts and more than any kind of endorsement deals, because using your platform for truth is more important than protecting your comfort.
I want to talk about gratitude because Alyssa Liu is being praised for what people perceive as having gratitude for America and the freedom it provides. Now, in an op-ed for Fox earlier this year, you actually said, I came here for my basketball dream. I stay for freedom and the American dream. Talk to us about that.
I really want people to understand, America literally gave me more than just an NBA career. America gave me a home. It gave me a voice. In many places, criticizing those in power leads to prison or worse, torture to death. In the United States, I can speak openly, practice my faith, and advocate for human rights without fear of government retaliation. So that freedom is not abstract. It shapes everyday life. Gratitude does not mean believing the country is perfect. It means recognizing the rare opportunity to improve society through free speech, democratic participation, and the rule of law. So that is the promise of the American dream. And it was so crazy because when my teammates were criticizing America, right? They were saying, "Oh my God, America is terrible. We need to get out of here." Blah blah. I was like, "Listen, the green is not greener. The grass is not greener on the other side. Look at China. Look at Iran. Look at Russia. Look at all the Turkey and many other countries. Literally, forget about calling out the government. You criticize those regimes, you and your family member will be tortured to death." So people need to understand how lucky and blessed they are to be in a country like America.
And as you strongly advocate for putting human rights above politics in these polarized times, what would be your advice to lawmakers on Capitol Hill to better band together and elevate these issues?
You know, both sides need to understand human rights should never be a partisan issue. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and protect them from persecution are universal principles. And lawmakers should approach these issues with moral clarity and strategic unity. When the United States speaks with one voice on human dignity, it strengthens credibility abroad and reinforces democratic values at home. That means prioritizing accountability for abuses and reducing the reliance on forced labor supply chains and defending international norms. Unity on fundamental rights is not weakness. It is strength grounded in principle. And also, the last thing I will say, we need to stop condemning. Because while we are condemning these authoritarian regimes or dictatorships, they do not care. We need to take concrete actions against these brutal regimes, put sanctions, use Magnitsky sanctions against them, but enough with the condemning. We have to pass bills. We have to bring some concrete actions against those dictatorships so we can teach them a lesson.
And as looking ahead, you have a book coming out soon titled In the Name of Freedom. What motivated you to write the book, and give us a sense of what we can expect?
So the book already came out last October. It actually became a New York Times bestseller and international bestseller. I wrote In the Name of Freedom because my journey reflects a larger struggle for human dignity. Growing up under an authoritarian pressure like Turkey, then finding liberty in America gave me a unique perspective on what freedom truly means. And the book tells my personal story, obviously, but it is also examines global human rights abuses, the courage of dissidents, and the responsibility we all share to defend liberty. So the readers will find stories of resilience, moral courage, and hope. So my goal is simple: to inspire people, value freedom, protect it, whatever they see it, even if it means sacrificing everything. And now with that book, I really wanted to inspire the next generation, educate them so we can have a better and brighter future.